Welcome to Among the Noise.
I thought you had water.
Nope.
Because
I've been trying to drink more water, but I don't like to just drink water.
you
so
bought
it's
a
Kool-Aid.
big water bottle so you could drink more water, right? And then you ended up filling it to the brim with Kool-Aid.
That's the idea.
Oh, man. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome to Among the Noise. We've got some topics to talk about today, but I think we're going to start off and just ask each other how we're doing. David, how have you been doing, and what have you been up to?
I've been good. Been super busy. I've got me and Natalie's anniversary is tomorrow.
Ooh,
2 years.
That's
Never thought
crazy.
we'd make it this far.
It does not feel like it's been 2 years.
Time just flies.
Just can't stop thinking about Kool-Aid.
So good. But so yeah, we've got a wedding anniversary coming up. No big plans. We both kind of have been just forgetting about it, I guess. Not forgetting about it, like we know it's coming, but it's a big deal to us, but it's not.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I think usually women think it's a bigger deal than men do, but we're kind of on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes with anything like that, I guess.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah, she's pretty chill with that stuff. But so we'll probably go get dinner or something for that, which will be cool. But it made me think of a couple stories that like I could share on here from getting married that are kind of funny and interesting.
Right.
You were there for one of them. So
I don't even... Oh, wait.
So
If it's what I'm thinking about.
the bottom of dress shoes don't have a lot of grip. And so we were all upstairs in this, I guess we'll call it a cabin, the day of the wedding. And so we've all already got our tuxes on and we're ready to go. And I'm about to walk downstairs to like start the wedding shenanigans. Like it's, it's about that time.
Yeah. Shenanigans as in non-shenanigans.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And so I take one step going down the stairs on like the first or second step.
Yeah.
And my feet just fly out in front of me. And my butt and my back and my elbow all hit the flight of stairs. And I'm just sliding down every single step, like trying to catch myself with my elbow every time. And just bashing my elbow against the stairs as I try to stand up. But every time I try to stand up, I just keep sliding.
Yeah.
And I slid all the way down the flight of stairs.
Yeah. That was one of the most funniest things.
Yeah. So basically, I see it as that was my way to try to get out of the marriage. It didn't work.
I just remember I was at the top, like still in the... Like,
I think everybody was.
What do you call it? Like a loft or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most people were. And just hear like clunk, 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 clunk. And like the first reaction is like, everyone's laughing because that's hilarious when people get hurt.
And then people realize like, oh,
Yeah.
wait. This
And then
is his wedding day.
we heard you like moan. You're like, oh. I remember me and Tyler looked at each other. We were like, is he okay?
Yeah.
Then you were like, I'm good. And we started laughing again. So it was so funny.
Yeah. Just crazy. And then the other thing, just, I guess, because anniversary's tomorrow, a story worth telling on the podcast that you've heard before, I think, as well. When me and Natalie went to go get our marriage license in Ohio, we went inside the doors, walk into the building, go up to this desk to get the marriage license. Like, hey, we're here to like apply for our marriage license or whatever. And the lady's like, you're at the wrong office. We do divorces here. And I was like, all right, well, we'll see in a couple of years. And then we walked out, and I thought it was funny. Natalie laughed. Divorce lady, nothing. Straight face. Didn't think it was funny. Probably like the 8th time she's heard that joke that
Probably.
day.
Well, I don't know. She probably has to deal with a lot of angry people.
Probably. I was quick on my feet too. Like there wasn't like a delay. It was like immediately. I was proud of myself for that one. That even made it into my vows. Is kind of. So anniversary tomorrow. I bought a practice drum kit recently.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there.
Yes.
In the new studio. And so that was cool. I got it for $40. So I had to do it. So you can't see it on the podcast, but Brad is looking at it. It's missing, like there's broken pieces. It's missing lugs, but it works perfectly for what I need it for. I use to practice here in the studio. I have to keep it kind of quiet. So I put these, they're called silent stroke heads on the drums. And they're these mesh heads. So they're so much more quieter. Get it together, David. They're so much quieter.
It's valid.
More quiet.
Yes. More
Most
silent.
quietish.
Less loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so much more less loud. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm fixing my position here.
You're good. They bring the volume way down, and then I have these cymbals that I forget what they're called. I have some off-brand ones anyways. And so essentially it brings the volume down, but I was having to set my drums up and change all the heads and everything in between tour dates and stuff to get any practice. So $40 well spent. Got a new drum kit for practicing.
Dang.
Went to Pumpkin Patch yesterday with my wife and a bunch of her new school friends.
New school friends.
Yeah, so she's been like essentially switched schools a handful of times throughout her like time at college, and then she was doing online courses, but now she's going while she pursues her master's in social work.
Right.
And so she's meeting a lot of new people that are in her field and think a lot like she thinks, and a bunch of really nice people that
That's good.
I got to meet and hang out with. I have been getting back into Elite Dangerous a little bit. I don't have a lot of free time.
You're really plowing through this list.
Yeah, well,
you've been going through a lot.
Yeah, I've had a lot I've been doing. But the reason I put this down, because if I get some time, I'd kind of like to do here in a future podcast kind of an update to share with people. So for those of you that don't know, Elite Dangerous is a very nerdy video game. It's like a space flight simulator game, which is a horrible way to explain it. But what are you doing, Brad?
Guess what I forgot to do?
I know, I saw. And anyways, so that game is one of my all-time favorite games. Back when we did our favorite video games list, I was mad at the game and didn't have it number one. I don't think it probably should have been. I'm still a little bitter at the game. And essentially what happened is over time, they've been making this really great game and screwing it up in like little ways.
Right.
Progressively making it worse in a lot of ways while still making it better in some. Oh. I'd like to maybe do a little segment here at some point, going more in depth about the game and something kind of along the lines of like, is this game still worth playing in 2023 as we move into the new year.
Yeah, I think we should do that for a lot of the games that were on our list, maybe.
Yeah. Because especially like for this one, it's had a lot of updates and stuff lately. The big one that's somewhat recent was horrifically received for good reason. But I just bought that update, and so I haven't played around with it a lot yet.
You have
but
to buy the update.
I don't want to talk about it.
You have to buy the update.
Yeah.
Like they market it as an update?
No, it's not I'm not using the right words.
Is it just like a DLC?
Yeah.
Okay.
A big one. Like they put a lot of work into it, but
Okay.
it was a bug.
So you just had the wording wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
it was a bug-filled mess, and I'm not going into it now, but I think it'd be cool to do something like that with that game, and then maybe a couple others.
Yeah.
It could be cool. I also, this is gonna start a little dark. Another thing I went to a funeral a couple weeks ago.
Can't get much darker than that.
Yeah. Old family friend grew up with the kids in the family. As I got older, like we kind of grew more distant from the family just with time. You know how things go.
Right.
And so I hadn't talked to them a lot. And then in high school, like reconnected because where I was working, the gym I was working at, the mom came into all the time, got to reconnect with her. Her son, who I had been friends with when we were little, started working there. So I got to reconnect with him. Anyways, the mom passed. She was in her 60s, and it's horrible. She was such a sweet lady. One of the nicest people you ever meet. However, sometimes funny things happen when they're not supposed to.
Yeah. Oftentimes.
And so they had this beautiful funeral service, and as part of the service, it was at an Episcopal church, which I may be incorrect in saying this, but I don't know a lot about the Episcopal denomination. It's a Christian denomination. They're typically more traditional, and I think kind of similar to like a Lutheran or Catholic type of service from what I know.
Right.
And so they had kind of like a service as part of the funeral. They sang some songs, and they took communion. And you probably know that like a lot of churches do communion differently.
Yes.
And so for this church, they had everybody, like you get up row by row, you go up to like the front of the church. There is like an altar that you would kneel at. And so I walked up there, me and a group of a few, a handful of people that I know were all together at this funeral. And so we all walk up there in a line together. We walk up there, and they basically lead you to the altar where you get on your knees, and then you got like the place for your hands, and I'm trying to follow along with like what people are doing before me, because I don't know exactly how this is going.
Right.
But as a Christian musician, I'm constantly in different types of churches, seeing different services. Like I'm like up there with this false confidence that like
I got this.
Yeah, I got this.
I'm a pro.
I'm
a pro Christian.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, yeah, I've got this false sense of like, I got this confidence, which is like a goofy way to explain this. Like it's a church thing. Like I'm not like, I'm just participating in
right.
the communion, but it's a funny way to explain it. So I walk up there. They essentially point me and my group over to the altar. We kneel. We like I put my hands out like to receive the like communion.
The elements.
Yeah. So if you don't know, typically communions have some form of, you get this little chip or bread or something, and then you'll get this little thing of juice, wine, whatever. Eat, drink. The idea is to do this in remembrance of what Christ did for us. That's the very short story for if you're not a Christian or don't know. And so put my hands out. They give me like the little bread chip thing. And so I eat it. And then I look to my left, and the people in the group are they've got the chip, and then the like priest, or you'll have to forgive me if I'm using the wrong term, of the church essentially takes I can't remember exactly how it happened. I can't remember if he took it back and like dipped it into the wine, and no, that couldn't have been it. So then they brought the wine for people to dip the thing in that I just ate,
Yeah.
and then you eat it. And so now they're coming my way with a glass of wine, and I'm supposed to dip this little chip in that I already ate to like do the communion. And I look to my left where these other people are in my group. They still have theirs. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, this isn't good. And so they finally, they get to me. I'm on my knees. And the lady that's doing it like looks down, and I just have to look up, and I'm like, I already ate it. and like she just like respectfully like continues on, but I was so like embarrassed just because of how dumb.
Just imagine what she thought. Like, what a moron.
This guy never been to a church service before.
I think we're handing out lunch.
And so on the way home from the funeral, I thought I was the only one that messed it up. Turns out someone that rode with us, when I told them what happened to me, they said, oh my gosh, I didn't know what to do either. So I put the chip in my mouth, and then I saw that they were coming, and they took it back out and dipped it in this like community wine that everyone was dipping their chips into. And so basically the moral of the story is me and my group of people that went to that are freaking stupid.
Very uncultured.
Oh, it was so funny. I'm like crying. I mean, part of it was just like you almost had to be there too, but
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's so funny.
Beautiful funeral service though. I hope this isn't being disrespectful, but that moment within that service was so unbelievably funny. And it wasn't like I knew that it was funny when it was just me and like I was going to tell the story later.
Yeah.
But then to hear that someone else did something even worse.
Yeah.
It was
hopefully they didn't have COVID.
Yeah. Really funny. And then they tried to be like, well, I mean, they use real wine, so they're like, well, the alcohol probably disinfected it a little bit.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that happened. That's basically it. Here in a little less than a week, we've got 2 shows in Pennsylvania, and that's pretty much it for me. What have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. I moved into my new apartment, which you helped, and I am
You're welcome.
greatly appreciative of that.
You're welcome.
He helped me move twice.
Yeah.
Because I think I discussed this last time, but I moved into my parents' house for a week because my leases didn't line up. So I had to move all my stuff into my parents' garage and then move it out of the garage into the new place within a week.
And live with your parents for a
And
week.
live with my parents for a week. So
What a loser.
yeah. Yeah, it wasn't too bad though. Everyone's just busy, and so I really didn't even get to see them all that much.
Yeah. It's just moving is a lot in general.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
apartment is nice though.
Yeah, I'm really liking it. It's a lot more expensive, but so is everywhere these days, so
Yeah.
it was the best option, I think. And it's also far away.
That's the worst part.
From here and from a lot of other places, but for work it's not that bad. So
Yeah, you're not too far.
yeah, and there's a place that I go for work all the time right across the street. So yeah.
So I heard that you received an interesting email.
I didn't want to bring it up yet.
Bring it up later then.
I wasn't done talking.
I'm sorry.
I'll cut that out.
Forgive me.
Other things I've been working on is just I've been working on website related stuff, like my personal website. I've been trying to get like updated because I haven't really updated my website in a while. I mean, I did, but I made it like super simple. That's just like forwarded to my like Twitter and stuff like that.
Brad.com, right?
See if that's taken or not. Just kidding. But yeah, other than that, just like little personal projects here and there and stuff. Keeping up with all the TV shows and stuff. So nothing to be proud of really right now.
I get it. I don't have anything to be proud of either, other than
your anniversary for your successful marriage.
Yeah, and ruining communion.
Yeah, well, yeah. At least ruining it for yourself. But you probably gave that lady
someone else ruined
big
it
laugh.
for others.
Well, yeah. Probably got COVID and
new hotspot of coronavirus.
Yeah. But I did want to share this email that I got. I got this random spam email, and like, I don't know if it's just me, but like, a lot of like, if you're a guy, I think you get a lot of like guy related spam emails probably.
The only email I really pay attention to right now is my band one, which is still in the grand scheme of things relatively new.
Yeah.
And all I'm getting are like spam business emails from our website.
So, right.
But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And usually like Gmail and like the other ones are like pretty good at like filtering through the like bad ones. And just so you really never see it. But this one just it got through and it just made me laugh so hard. So I'll share my screen.
Is that their name?
That's the name that they put. Soft Pecker is the name. And then the subject says, remove, quote unquote, penile clog in 15 minutes with this. Penile clog.
But if you go and you read on, it looks like this has to do with something Harvard.
Yeah, according to Harvard, fixing limpness in men has nothing to do with daily Kegel exercises, embarrassing penile pumps,
or Dan.
I think that said dangerous something.
Yeah, I figured they weren't just bringing up somebody named Dan.
Yeah, so I thought that was really funny. Soft Pecker, send me an email for my penile clog.
It's an interesting.
It's very specific.
First and last name.
Yes. I wonder what his middle name
specific. Did you respond?
Of course not.
What in the world? Like, who gets those emails? Like, what were they trying to get?
I don't know.
Can you imagine being like an old man who doesn't know technology and then having to explain to your grandkids how your identity was stolen over the internet? And that's it.
Well, you see, I suffered from penile clog, and I got this wonderful email.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I have an email that I use for like if I know that it's probably going to be like risky, and it's like a throwaway email, and yeah, it usually gets like a lot of spam, and I
Yeah.
get like not funny ones like that, but like super specific ones that like they're either trying to sell like Viagra or like things that like make you bigger,
What else?
and that's
Continue listing on. No, I'm kidding.
mostly it. And yeah, so that's pretty normal. And if you're a female, you probably get, more female related things.
What?
I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
I would not
I don't want to
know.
know.
Anyways, so yeah, that's my funny story. What's next?
Well, do you want to go into some of the music news?
Sure. Start with yours.
Yeah, so one of my all-time favorite bands, since, I mean, I don't know, long time. I don't know, almost as long as I've been listening to music. Blink-182 has been one of my favorite bands, and Tom DeLonge, one of the founding members, is back in the band. It sounds like he essentially rejoined after repairing a friendship with him and the other lead singer, Mark, um, while Mark was going through cancer treatment, which is really cool. Um, and then after that, rejoined the band, immediately announced a world tour, an album, both of those in 2023, and dropped a new single called Edging, which debuted number 2 on the rock and alternative airplay, which is the highest debut for any act since 2014, according to Billboard. Um, unfortunately, if you want to see him live, you have to be rich or be willing to sell one of your
Of course.
children, or
Yeah.
harvest your own organs or something.
Yeah.
Which is becoming more common for major artists, unfortunately. But it was kind of interesting. Matt Skiba, who filled in for Blink while Tom was gone, mentioned in an interview with Vulture, basically that he was thankful with his time at Blink-182, was happy to see Tom back, which is, I think, nice for fans to hear.
Yeah.
But then also announced that they had worked on they'd basically almost finished a full album with Matt Skiba still in Blink-182. And it sounds like those songs are just probably never going to be released, which is interesting. But I am really excited for the album to come out. I'm sure they'll have a few singles out along the way. Edging, I've enjoyed that single, but I'm excited for more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't know they released a new song. I just heard that he was back and they were gonna be doing stuff. So that's cool. That means that they've had this in the works for a while.
yeah, I mean, as far as I can tell, it's probably been almost a year in the making.
Yeah.
So, which makes sense with how long it can take to make an album and work out all the other logistical stuff I'm sure they had to figure out.
Oh yeah. There's like a lot of legal stuff that goes into that. Um, what was the beef between him and Mark?
I don't think I don't know if we know. Um, that's a good question.
Because I knew something happened, but I didn't know exactly what.
Yeah, I'd hate to say it and then be wrong and then have this podcast live on forever and me just looking like more of an idiot than usual. So I'm not going to comment on it too much.
Yeah.
I know a lot of it had to do just with Tom wanting to pursue other side projects for a while. But I was aware of kind of a somewhat fractured relationship between the two of them, but I don't really know the details. So,
Well,
but I know that they're one big happy family again.
that's good.
More Blink. That's exciting. Um, all of us 30, 40, 50-year olds are going to be pooping our depends about all this new music coming out.
I mean, we're not 30 yet. Don't put us in that yet.
Good point. So,
Or did you just forget your age again?
I don't want to talk about it. In other music news, Taylor Swift dropped an album.
Yeah. And apparently it was the what was it? The like sorry, I forget exactly what the wording was. And this freaking website
We've been having a lot of tech issues today.
okay, so yeah, her album dropped, and so naturally all the fans like go to listen to it as soon as possible and completely crash Spotify.
I don't know if I've ever heard of that happening.
I don't think it's ever happened. And I'm pretty sure like she used to have like a beef with Spotify because
Yeah, so she pulled off of Spotify a long time ago due to what they were paying out for streams. I'm not sure if it was her team, her label,
I think
all of the above.
it was her
Um,
personally.
I think it was a cool thing because I kind of remember thinking back in the day when that happened that she was doing it. I mean, obviously, kind of for her, but also for smaller artists who couldn't. They didn't have a voice because they needed Spotify because it's a good outreach tool, but they weren't being paid fairly for the streams.
Yeah, she was kind of doing it in protest. And obviously when you're as big as Taylor Swift, like a lot of like not necessarily traction on like in the good way happens, but I know a lot of people just kind of viewed it as like her just like trying to create some publicity for herself.
She gets a lot of hate that I actually don't think she
I
deserves.
agree.
She's I mean, for as far as I know, has been like a standout. Sorry, has been kind of a standout person in a world where a lot of celebrities aren't great people.
Yeah.
And she does a lot of good. And obviously, whether you like her music or not, you can't argue that it's not been a huge commercial success. And I've enjoyed most of her music. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to her music like on a whim or anything, but
I
I
don't
don't
typically
really
either.
ever hate it or anything. Yeah, so I think she broke some record too, I thought, but I'm not seeing that.
It's at the very bottom, last paragraph.
Oh,
Holds it.
most streamed female artist in a day. 123 million. Crazy.
It is crazy. It's cool that it kind of came full circle too. That happened on Spotify.
Yeah, and I never really found out why she came back.
I think that they adjusted the royalty.
I don't know if they did.
Maybe they just did it for her.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. Like we never heard. Maybe there was like a news thing about it, but I never heard about like the outcome. So yeah, I
I'll
guess
try to find it really
you can look
quick.
it up. Because that's interesting. If they just like said, "Oh yeah, we'll raise it for you," which is just terrible.
Geez, this happened back in like 2017, maybe.
Really? I didn't think it was that long ago. joins Spotify. Yeah, that's
Just from like quickly trying to glance through it, I'm not seeing a real reason.
yeah. This article doesn't really say anything. Spotify boss explains how he convinced Taylor Swift to return to the streaming service. I think she saw the fans were asking for it.
So nothing happened. That's
He managed to convince the star to stream his music via the platform again. She famously removed it in 2014. Dang, was that long ago? Wow. Music should not be free.
it looks like it may not have just been Spotify from the article I'm reading, but that is I mean either way that's interesting. I don't it does kind of look like she just gave in.
Yeah.
Because the wording of an article I saw just talked about streaming in general.
Says I should have done a much better job at communicating this, so I will take full ownership for that. Talking about this is the Spotify guy. Spotify went public. Yeah. So it doesn't say that like they changed anything. So that's just a huge audience that you're not getting your music to. So it's like she ended up, you know.
If any artist can go without streaming, it's her, but
Well, yeah, but how many people are gonna like switch to a different platform?
yeah, like pay to get an MP3 or a CD, then you need a CD player.
I'm pretty sure she stayed on Apple Music because Apple gives.
They paid out more. That's how
I
I
think
remember
they pay
it.
out the most out of them all, except for like, I think Tidal might give the most.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Spotify is obviously the biggest in the world, so not having your music on there is like, even if you're big, like that's a good way to like ensure that your career is not gonna keep continuing.
Yeah, I would think so at this point.
It's like there's a big stink in the air right now about YouTube. They're like raising prices and
I saw that.
they're thinking about making the 4K exclusive to premium and stuff like that, like other features and stuff exclusive to premium. And
I'm sorry. I'll turn it off.
A call that you need to take?
No, it's an alarm.
You need to take your meds?
No, I'm
your penile clog meds?
Gosh. I'm supposed to be leaving here kind of soon. Well, I'm not in a huge hurry. All right, that's off.
So
no more of that.
It's similar to that YouTube situation because YouTube has no competition, like at all. There's
really.
There's companies that have tried, like Vimeo, Dailymotion, Facebook tried for a little bit, but like no one is uploading their content like to other places. Like they build a career on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of similar to that. Like if you don't put your stuff on YouTube, where are you going to put it and where are you going to get that?
Yeah, I mean it's one of the
exposure.
One of the main platforms.
So even if you're super successful, like if you're not on a platform that people are on, no one's going to find it or care.
Yeah, I mean it would be hard to continue to grow, and then I would think you're losing out on a relatively major income stream, even if it's not what it should be.
Yeah. Yep. So
I've only heard a couple songs from the album, but there were a couple I wasn't a big fan of that I heard, and I think one of her bigger like singles essentially was one that I liked, but
yeah, I didn't hear any of it yet, but
I'll have to listen through it at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. So another big news topic that came out I think it mostly happened like early last week. the whole issue with the voice actress that plays or that used to play Bayonetta, which is a game series that I had never heard of until this whole. Well, that's not true, but until recently, because I'm not really a Nintendo guy.
I'm not familiar with that name.
So it's a series just for Nintendo, has traditionally only been for Nintendo, and I think she's been in Smash before.
Okay.
But anyways, there's only been 3, I think, so the new one is the 4th one, maybe, or maybe it's the 3rd one. I don't know. I don't care. But the interesting thing is so the voice actress that played her in previous games and in Smash, was I think was approached to do her voice again. I don't think there's been a game since like I don't know 2014 or something like that, like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I guess she was upset first of all that she had to try out for it, or what's the word?
Like audition
Audition, yeah. She had
for
to,
her own part.
that's pretty normal. If you haven't done a character in 10 years for like a pretty minor like video game series, like that's pretty normal. And so being upset about that is a little weird. Like if you're good at it and you do it well, like why is that a big deal?
I think that's an odd thing. I mean, I guess during the audition, like, are these auditions typically just to make sure, like, you can,
Yeah.
like, are they auditioning other people as well at the same time?
I don't know at that point, but
That's interesting.
like why would they just assume that she's still good at it 10 years later? Like if she's going to be good at it, like there's nothing to worry about. Anyways, that's
Yeah.
not the big reason that this is a crazy situation. She asked for a lot more than what they were like wanting to pay because she thought she was like more important than she actually is. But she then came out to the public and said that she asked for like way less than she actually did. So basically,
Wait, so did she come out and is she lying to the public? Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah, well, she kind of like misled the public. She was like half right. But basically, she said that she only asked for 4,000, or no, she asked for a certain amount, and then they said no, we'll give you 4,000 per session, or 4,000 period. But what they actually meant was 4,000 per session, which is a lot of money, and wasn't even that much less than what she originally asked for.
I would be curious what a session is.
Like,
That is an 8-hour workday a session?
I think so, yeah. I don't know. I don't know the exact details of that about that, but a couple other like podcasts and videos could explain it a lot better than I can. But they were basically saying that like it was what she was asking for was like not unheard of, but it was more than what the company was willing to spend, and so their offer was like also not unheard of. It was like a pretty normal amount.
Yeah.
And she thought that she was worth way more than what they were asking. And if you go to her IMDb page, this is like the only role she's ever done. And it's a series that's not even that big. So asking for like a lot more money is like
Hey, you're worth whatever people are willing to pay for
yeah,
you.
like calm down there.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I wish we were all worth way more than what we actually are.
Yeah, but I mean, like if you're not a full-time actress, like take what you can get.
Yeah, I would say so.
And she kept trying to make it seem like she was synonymous with the role, which means like no one else can be that person, and like the franchise revolves around her as this character.
Well, I mean, I'm sure ideally they would want to have the same
right
voice.
And I think we're planning on that being the case. But yeah, so then they got a different actress, which is like they got Jennifer Hale, which she's like a legend.
I recognize the name.
Yeah, she's a legend in the voice actor like community for games, like TV shows, like there's so much that she's done. So like it's just really funny how you can compare like their like filmography or whatever, like on IMDb, like complete opposites.
I wonder, have they mentioned, or do you know, like is the new voice actress getting paid the same?
I think so.
See, that's interesting.
Yeah, like
So someone who has plenty of success,
yeah,
thought that was a good offer.
yeah, like
Funny.
just take it and do it. So, but Jennifer Hale also is like constantly working. And when you're a voice actor, apparently, like obviously you have like an agent and stuff that, and like you might have like a company behind you or something like that. But most of the time, it's like you have to go out and like audition for roles and like be proactive about like selling yourself as a voice actor. You can't just be like, you think that you have, I think that's how it is with like most acting. Like,
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
so it's like if you have an offer, or like if you have a role that you think you want to go after, like you just go and do it and audition, and if you get it then you do it. Like it's not, especially at her level, like
Well, and I will say, so the entertainment industry, I guess you could call it, in general, I mean, people have budgets they have to work within. Like,
oh yeah,
you can either take that or you can leave it.
yeah. And Bayonetta is not a big, like, see, it's not like something that would be like Call of Duty or like something like that where they can get like a top tier actor to play something. Like these are just like, you know, voice actors that, you know, work hard at what they do. But anyways, the big controversy is that the actress, her name is Helena Taylor. She like after, like right before this game comes out, I think it comes out like this week or next week or something like that. And she's like trying to get people to boycott the game because of her situation, because she felt like that she is owed this role and that she felt like she was being treated unfairly. But like in this article, you'll see it says she claimed that the final like offer was 4,000, but it ended up being like 4,000 per session for at least 5 sessions, and she asked for a six-figure sum, which is just a lot more than what is normal. And then she tried to attack Jennifer Hale on social media and said that like she's that role and she's not allowed to take away
That's
her
weird.
role and stuff like that.
I don't know much about the financial side of things, but that attacking the person who basically took your job, that's weird.
Yeah, like it sucks that you didn't get the part, but it sounds like it's partially on you.
It sounds like she did get the part. She just turned down the pay.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but that was your decision.
Yeah. It's just a very strange situation. And Jennifer Hale has been like a champ about it. Like she's just been coming out and saying that like there's only so much that she can say because of like, you know, disclosures and stuff like that. But she's saying like she would keep retweeting things and like that say like you shouldn't be attacking people, basically. And she said something else since this one, but I didn't mean to click that. But yeah, it's just a very strange situation. I just think it's really funny that their careers are like the opposite, and one person does not have any room to be as like picky as she is.
It's interesting for sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Just a little video game industry drama. On Also in video game industry news, the Mario movie trailer dropped.
I haven't actually watched the trailer. I've just seen bits and pieces.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's made by the same studio that made like Despicable Me and like the Minions and stuff.
Yeah.
So it kind of has like that art style. So it actually looks pretty good. The funny, like, I wouldn't say like it's a controversy, but like,
The voice.
well, yeah, the voice is Chris Pratt,
Yeah.
and that's
okay.
kind of
I thought you were going with
interesting.
that.
No, I actually don't mind that, but I also am not a big Mario fan, so I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't care either.
But the poster that they released, did you see that whole thing?
No.
So I'll look up a meme, but the poster dropped before the trailer, and it showed Mario just facing forward, so you couldn't see his face or anything. You just see it from behind, and it was just his butt was very flat, and everyone
Poor
like
Mario, I can relate.
lost their mind because they're like, why are you like fat butt shaming and stuff like that. So here, I'll show my screen. But like people are saying like this is how he was before and this is how he is in the and to be fair, that's a very flat butt.
I can relate.
But like the internet was just losing their mind, but the memes were just so funny. Because
Gotta
they
hit
were
the
like,
weight room, Mario. Do some squats.
yeah. Circle with, yeah. They nerfed this man's ass. But like some of the pictures that you like see from like actual like games, or this is just like another like poster. Like yeah, there's like a little curve there, but it's not like a big butt or anything. But just some of the memes have been so funny.
Funny.
Some of them might be a little inappropriate. And like every game has been different, so like you can't really base it on anything. But then the memes that came out of that was like people fixing it. And so I feel like every day on Reddit, I would see a new meme about it of someone fixing it. And
The giant booty Mario.
some of them were like pretty creative. Like that one, that one's massive. One of them was like, they took like the pixelated version of like the first Mario, and like it was really creative. But I'm not seeing it on here. I should have prepared ahead of time for that. But it's just like a really funny meme. So, anyways,
The world of video games. I mean, that's an important part of the game or movie or both.
All right, my screen's frozen.
Oh no.
Laptop has been great.
Yeah, the tech issues today have not been wonderful.
Do we want to talk about TV shows, or I can just briefly go through it if you want me to? Or should we save that?
Will it still be relevant in a week or two?
Somewhat.
Recall. This is your realm.
I guess I'll just talk about it briefly, but I won't get into it.
Maybe we'll get into it more later. We'll leave the option open.
Okay. So talk about Call of Duty?
No, I was going to say we could still touch on it. And if we want to deep dive.
You said later.
Yeah, if we want to deep dive later.
Like in a different episode?
Yeah, I don't think we actually
I thought
will.
you meant later in this episode.
No.
Okay.
We're professionals.
I'll definitely cut all that out. Okay, so there's been a lot of TV shows going on right now, and so I feel like a lot of people are kind of feeling, I don't know, behind or struggling to keep up with it all.
I feel that on a spiritual level.
You feel that even if there's nothing going on.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's like the 4 big franchise shows that have been going on. 2 of them are done now, but throughout the last 2 months or so, we've had the Lord of the Rings show, Rings of Power, and the Game of Thrones show, House of the Dragon, Star Wars show, Andor, and the Marvel show, She-Hulk.
So there's not much going on.
Just 4 of the biggest franchises in the world. And luckily they were all on different nights throughout every week. But that just means like if you miss one night, you're gonna be like a little bit behind.
Yeah.
And stuff. So plus all the other shows that are going on that you might be watching too. So it's been a lot. I've been enjoying it because I don't have a life, but it's been fun to keep up with them all. Rings of Power ended last week, and it felt like it was really, really good. Really, really good. But it felt like it just ended way too early. Like you felt like it was just like halfway through the story.
Yeah, that's not great.
There's only like 8 episodes or something like that. And they were hour-long episodes, but at the end of that last episode, like the finale, I felt like it was like, okay, what's next? Like, what?
Do you think that that's intentional that they did that to leave the door open for something down the road?
Yes, but it felt like it was more than that, where like a lot of times a season of a show will like obviously leave a cliffhanger at the end of the season, but you felt like they told a complete story in that season to where it can kind of stand alone, where you feel like somewhat satisfied.
It just literally didn't feel done.
It did not feel done at all.
Huh.
Like by the time the finale happened, you were just like, okay, now what? Like it, and that's just a very minor like complaint I have. It just should have been longer, but I think a lot of it just had to do with budget because it was the biggest TV show budget. It was like billions of dollars. And so I feel like they just like, okay, we've spent enough money on this. We should probably stop and save up for next year. So
yeah, but then you're almost just hurting all the money you poured into it.
I mean, yeah, it was still like really good. I don't think anyone's gonna say like, oh, that was, bad or anything. I think some people might have thought it was mediocre. I don't think anyone would say it's bad. I mean, I guess it's the internet. They could probably say that, but
There'll be plenty of people that
people
say
that haven't
bad.
seen it and say it's bad. But yeah, I'm excited for it to continue. Just because they set up, it felt just like a lot of setup with not much follow through, I should say. So, and since they took so long to make this season, it was the first season, and with the budget that they have, they're saying that they're not gonna have the next season until probably like late 2024.
Long wait.
Maybe early 2025.
Yeah.
And so when you already feel this way and you feel like you didn't get enough, then you have to wait 2 years before you see more. Like that's a little crazy.
It reminds me of the wait after like a Star Wars movie would come out back in the day.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I have to wait how long until the next movie?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
but even those individually felt pretty complete, if I remember right, though. So it's still kind of different.
Part. And even if they didn't, like the next one ended up not being hardly related to the previous one.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it's like, yeah. Um, but House of the Dragon's really good. It's actually probably my favorite of the 4, just because it's like I just feel like it's the most interesting. I think the finale for that is tonight, but it's super intense and like it's very like political, but it's like medieval political. So
Well, I love politics. It's my favorite.
yeah, but when there's dragons involved, I mean, it just makes it so much better.
Are they capitalist pig dragons? No, I'm kidding. I'm
We're more like not capitalist. Dictatorship. Fascist.
I can get behind that.
Dragons, maybe.
No.
Andor. Well, no, I'll go to She-Hulk because I actually haven't watched it yet. But apparently it was decent. I've seen clips. I haven't watched through it because I wanted to wait until it was all out. I originally wasn't going to watch it, but apparently, spoiler alert, Daredevil is in the last couple episodes. And like they brought back the guy that played Daredevil in the Netflix shows, and that's one of my favorite shows of all time. So now I have to watch it.
So it's piqued your interest.
Yes. But I think a lot of people didn't really want to give it a chance because it looks very, very cheesy. And I think that's just kind of the point. It's supposed to be like a comedy. So I'll just have to go into it with that mindset, and I think I'll probably enjoy it. So then Andor has been really, really good. I think it's probably been the best Star Wars that we've had since, I guess, since Rogue One. In my opinion, because it feels like it's not a story about, I don't know, like Star Wars has always been about a story of, like magic and like mythology and like adventure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very like kid friendly for the most part.
Yeah,
and
slicing
so-
people in half,
Well, yeah,
death, destroying planets.
kissing your sister.
Yeah, just
Just
family stuff.
yeah, exactly. It's a good family movie. But like, like the dialogue and like the story beats are always like dumbed down enough to where like a 12-year-old could understand it. And that's
Yeah.
just kind of how it always was. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but I do think Star Wars is big enough to where it doesn't have to limit itself to that for every single.
It has a lot of potential in other areas, it feels like.
So like, especially with like Disney Plus now, like they can do literally whatever they want. They don't have to just stick to that one formula that clearly hasn't really been working for them all that well. So with Andor, it feels a lot more like adult, and there's an airplane.
There's been so many loud vehicles driving by over
I
the
haven't
last
even noticed
2
until
minutes.
just now.
It felt like I was in the middle of a NASCAR race just a minute ago. I live by the interstate, and the airport, and just everything that could possibly make this a horrific location for a podcast.
Yeah, so many regrets coming here today. We thought it was such a good idea.
You
Anyways,
live and you learn.
So Andor feels like a much more adult show. Like it doesn't hold your hand with like explaining, not necessarily explaining, that's a bad word, but like
More family kissing.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no family kissing yet.
Oh,
But it just feels more like the other shows that I was talking about, like House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones, where it's like there's a really long story that they want to tell, and each episode is like furthering that story. Whereas in like The Mandalorian, or I guess in Star Wars in general, it's always been like the episode of the week or the adventure of the week. And like, yeah, there's like an overarching story, but like sometimes the episodes involve adventures that don't really matter.
It's like its own story
Yeah.
that just happens to be taking place in the greater story.
Yeah. So like in The Mandalorian, some episodes like at the end of it he like ends up like maybe like going to the next thing that is relevant, but some of the episodes are like, why did you need to tell us this story? Like, yeah, it was fun, but like it just felt like it was for kids or something like that. So I just like the much more like narrative focused storytelling, and that's what Andor is, and it's been really good. It's like a spy thriller story, so it's like they're like forming the rebellion underneath the noses of the Empire, and it's been really interesting.
So not only have I not watched this, but I've heard very, very little about it. So
Yeah.
sounds cool.
But you not hearing things about things isn't that.
That's very normal. I live under a rock.
Yeah.
But I work very hard under that rock for long hours of the day.
True. So, yeah. I'm excited for that to keep going. There's supposed to be, I think, 4 more episodes, and then they are starting filming for season 2 in November, so we won't have to wait that long for the next season for that, compared to previously mentioned shows. So yeah, I think we were planning to have someone else on the show to talk to me about this.
Yeah, and then tech issues and scheduling and
Yeah, so maybe next time we could have someone on. I don't know. We'll try to have that working at some point. 'Cause me rambling about it is not interesting.
yeah, I'm not helpful with these conversations.
So anyways, Call of Duty?
Yes.
So there's not a whole lot to say to this. The early access started on Thursday, I believe, and that's just for the campaign. So if you pre-order the game, you get early access to the campaign. So then you have a week to play the campaign before the multiplayer comes out, which is genius.
It is genius.
Because
I would imagine if they came out at the same time, a lot of people just wouldn't even play the campaign.
Like probably 90% of people that play Call of Duty aren't going to bother with the campaign. Like they haven't for years.
Yeah, that's really smart.
So if you're like really dying to play some like new Call of Duty and you pre-ordered it, there you go. You played through the campaign.
Is this their first time doing that?
I think so.
I won't be the last. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's genius. So I started it. Apparently it's one of the longest campaigns, which is good because they're traditionally really short. So I can't say like how far I am into it, but I think I'm like on the 5th mission or something like that. But it is really good. It's like playing a movie. And you can say that about all of the Call of Duty campaigns, but it's like,
I've not really played one that disappointed me. I haven't played all of them, but the ones I have played were really
you've
good.
always enjoyed them a lot. But it's like the like cinematography and like just how it's edited is just like a movie. It's so good.
If you can get that right, that's a really cool way to play a single player.
I highly recommend it. But I also haven't finished it yet. And it's interesting because since this has been a reboot of the Modern Warfare franchise, it's not been a remake, it's been a reboot. So they like have different stories but like similar characters. So like Captain Price is different but basically the same as he was before, and like a bunch of other characters like Ghost and stuff. But in the previous Modern Warfare 2, it's known as like the best campaign, and so there's like a big twist at the end. That's like one of the biggest twists in like all of video game history, and so they've kind of hinted at like a twist, I think, that's similar, but I'm curious if it's going to be the same twist or if it's going to be a different one. I assume it's different.
It's gotta be.
But the character that the twist was in the old one is in this game. So I'm like keeping an eye out. Like what's...
They've got to be using that to mislead you.
Yeah,
though.
I'm sure. And he does look different, but it's the same name. He sounds the same. So I'm really excited to like see what they do with it.
You got a lot going on.
I just do what I can when I don't have a life. I make my life. I keep busy.
I'm a little jealous, to be honest.
I have too many hobbies and too much free time. So
I have too many hobbies and not enough free time.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I can say about that. The multiplayer launches next Friday. And you want to come over?
Maybe.
Probably on Saturday. You could probably get people together on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. And I'm still looking forward to the new, what is it, like Warzone 2.0 or something? That looks really cool.
Yeah, so that should come out, I think, 2 weeks after multiplayer comes out. So like November something.
16th?
Something like that. 14th or 16th. I don't know.
Cool.
So yeah, it's exciting. It's a really, really good game so far.
Well, unless you've got anything else you want to cover, that might just be it for this podcast.
Yeah.
Anybody who watched this long, thank you. Like, subscribe, comment, helps us out.
Yeah.
All that other cheesy podcast, YouTube stuff, do it.
Yeah. Share us around.
Be a friend, tell a friend.
Did you steal that from somebody?
I think so.
But you don't remember what?
No. Seriously though, thank you. We'll catch you next time.